The Batteries Included podcast is brought to you with United Chargers and their Grizzly range. The next generation of Grizzly is here. Meet the Grizzly Ultimate, the most powerful AC Level 2 charger for home use. With a maximum current of 80 amps, that's 19.2 kilowatts. Your vehicle could be charged up to twice as fast as a standard level 2 and up to 15 times faster than a level 1. And of course, it's Wi-Fi connected, so you can take control of your home charging, view stats, set a charging schedule, take part in demand response programs, and control your charger remotely. And that joins the lineup alongside the original Grizzly Classic. The Grizzly Duo, designed to charge two vehicles at the same time. The Grizzly Mini, a portable charging station. And the Grizzly Smart, a revolutionary smart EV charger. Those chargers can adjust the current from 16 amps up to 40 amps, that's 9.6 kilowatts. Plus, the Grizzly Ranger IP67 rated, built in Canada, and with the highest quality materials. You can order yours right now. Go to unitedchargers.com, that's unitedchargers.com.
Hello, and welcome to the Batteries Included podcast. It's Friday, December the 21st, 2024, and this is episode number 68. Merry Christmas. On today's show, we'll be talking about stress testing the Apex, North Carolina Ionna Rechargery, Ram delaying its all-electric 1500 REV by a year, Nissan and Honda beginning merger talks, and of course, much, much more. I'm Dominic Ionni, host of the YouTube channel Drive Electric with Dominic. We're joined today by Tom Moloughney. He's the festive Mr. Tom Moloughney today, senior editor at Inside EVs and host of the YouTube channel State of Charge. And we are also pleased to be joined by Andrew Lambrecht, contributor to Inside EVs, Business Insider, Forbes, and more. He is also enrolled at Clemson University, I believe, where he studies industrial engineering. And you can add anything to that if you'd like, Andrew.
That was a great intro. Thank you very much.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
All right. So unfortunately, Martin is feeling under the weather and won't be joining us today. We were both sick last weekend, and if you can hear it in my voice, I'm still kind of not quite fully recovered, but he's doing significantly worse. So, have him in your thoughts. I think he's having to cancel some Christmas gatherings and stuff. He's feeling so poorly. So, keep him in your thoughts. All right. So today's show might be a little loosey-goosey. Tom and I both drove to Apex, North Carolina, actually, and Andrew. We all three of us here today drove to Apex, North Carolina on Wednesday, and then back again on Thursday afternoon. So there wasn't a whole lot of time to prepare, the big long list of stories. But on the other hand, it's also the week before Christmas, so there isn't a ton of product news and things out there. Regardless. I did see in the comments, actually, someone said David Lutz sharing some good big news with us. Some news with us this morning. Canoe closed down as of Wednesday, he says, which I had missed that, but I'd heard it was in trouble. You hear something about that, Tom?
Yeah, just the news reports. I got it yesterday, I think. I got some type of email. Somebody emailed me something. I still have a reservation with them. If you remember, I knew, right? I figured they were going to not make it, about a year ago. I mean, I made the reservation 2 years ago. I checked my reservation was January 1st, actually 2023. So it's been 2 years, and I knew probably for the last year that they probably weren't going to make it. But I held on. It's only $100, and at this point now, I wonder if I have any chance of getting that back. But they're supposed to hold it in like a reserve, right, like an attorney trust account or something, but we'll see. I'll send him an email, and maybe I'll get surprised and get it back. But following up on what you said about the trip down to North Carolina, so in addition to not having the time to really prepare this week, a lot of news stories, we're all really tired. I am shot, man. We drove, Tom, you drove a little more than me. I had to drive 550 or 560 miles each way, and did it like in back-to-back days. Now Pete came along, Vermi, and shared the driving, so that helped a little bit. And thank God, because I wouldn't have made it home last night. I was dozing. I would have had to stop and pull over, but I am still foggy a little bit. It was a really fun day yesterday, and I'm sure we're going to talk a lot about it here today. And that's part of why Kyle can't make it today. He's on the way. I don't know if he's even home yet, but he probably had a difficult trek back.
Yeah, it was. So I got when I got to. I know how long. So what time did you get home last night? Because I left around
Like
2, I think.
one-ish, I guess.
Okay. Well, the same with me actually. What time did you leave?
I forget. Pete knows. Pete's in the comment section. 2:30,
Yeah.
2:30. We left 2:30.
Okay,
I
so
had
just a little
really,
bit after me.
yeah, we had really bad efficiency with the Lightning because I had put on my winter tires, the big
Oh,
KO2s, and the things weigh like twice as much as my regular tires, and the efficiency always drops. So we didn't have, and plus we're driving like 80 miles an hour, so like we were averaging like
80
yeah, like
amateurs.
so yeah. Well, Pete, I looked over. Pete was hitting 90 a few times, but yeah, it was the efficiency was brutal in a pickup truck when you go 80, 90 miles an hour with big all-terrain tires. Like I average like 2.1 miles per kilowatt hour just driving around town and everything. There was one of the legs that we averaged 1.4 miles per kilowatt hour, but that was when we were driving between 80 and 90.
Right.
But we knew where the next stop was, so we didn't have to really drive slowly. But yeah, it was a interesting drive home.
Yeah. I did not spare any horses on my way home. And it was really bizarre coming down I-95, like so many people in the left lane just kind of sitting there, just oblivious to, it's a passing lane, right? So it's use it for passing. But no, I mean, I guess that's a common complaint, and people have been complaining about that for forever. But it just seemed to be, I don't know, it struck me as being particularly weird yesterday. There's a
Yeah,
lot.
it's
But
it's funny. Gary just posted Bushy. I'm amazed how many. Uh, I'm going to put. I was amazed
oh,
how many lightning startups. I was too. I kept saying that. I think it was that was the most of any one vehicle were lightnings. There had to be like 10 of them at least that showed up. It was really surprising. And what I'm also curious, how many people in the comment section now came to the event? So for like a second,
right.
could only the people, or like for a few seconds, only the people that were there, just post a comment. I was there. I'm just curious because I know a lot of our followers were there. They were interacting with us and everything. So it was a lot of fun. It was great to see all the people and talk to them. I know Kyle was talking to everyone. Dom, you were talking to everyone. Even Pete. A lot of people were coming up to Pete and saying, "I remember I watched you with the Lightning when you guys raced to Florida, and you were burning your arm on the pizza oven." So it was a lot of fun, and I'm glad a lot of the followers came out to participate, to charge their cars, to chat with us. I wish I had more time to talk to more people because I felt like I was rushing every time I was talking to somebody. I'm like, oh, I got to do something. So it was nice talking to you, but if I had longer time, I would have liked to talk to people longer. But it was great time interacting with you guys.
And you
Right.
made two
So
pizzas during that time, right?
We made 16 pizzas.
16.
Yep.
Wow. Okay. I had
Eight,
slices
eight,
from two, the cheese
eight
and
plain
pepperoni.
and 8 pepperoni. I brought my little pizza oven and we plugged it into the Pro Power onboard of the Lightning. And Pete was watching the ovens, and we cooked 16 pizzas.
Wow.
So 16 pizzas, 8 slices of pizza, little slices. But maybe
Mhm.
someone out there will do the math, and that's how many slices we handed out. I think Ionna was a little surprised. I'm like, oh yeah, I brought food. I'm cooking here, and they're like, well, it's catered, and like I think they might have been worried about like the whole liability thing if somebody got sick
oh,
eating the food that I made, like because they didn't
right.
control that. And I understand that when you do events like that, you typically don't want people to bring food and hand it out because you're liable if somebody gets sick. But they were cool with it. They're like, go ahead, Tom, park over there and cook your pizzas.
Well, because they had the like mozzarella and pepperoni wraps that they catered, and I had that, and I'm like, no. And right after I had your slice pizza, I'm like, this is not the same. So I had to go back and get another slice.
It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Right on. So just to set this up, actually, for those of you out there who don't know what we're even talking about, so Ionna is like the new charging network that's coming into just starting up just now, and it's put together by 7 or 8 different automakers. It's going to be huge. It's supposed to rival the Tesla supercharger network in size, and Yes, but we'll also have like CCS charging and NACS charging together, and it's just kicking off. And so their first station is put together. Tom has an interview on his channel, State of Charge, talking with the CEO Seth Cutler and the other gentleman there. What was
Ricardo, the
Ricardo? Yeah,
CPO. Yeah.
yeah, he was great actually. And what am I saying? All right, so Kyle from Autospec organized a kind of a cars and coffee event for this day yesterday, and it ended up being like a stress test of the Ionna first location, basically. So they basically booked all day long. People just signed up to show up and charge their cars, all different kinds of cars, and all day long. So from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. And probably before that, I think there was stuff charging. I mean, these chargers were just all day. It's just a car would pull out, car pull in. It's just a big test of the system. And so a lot of people showed up for that, and people who didn't even need to charge the cars showed up, and we had a lot of viewers, as Tom was saying. It was great meeting a ton of people yesterday. It was a little chilly out there. So hopefully,
oh my God, chilly! Shut up with chilly. It was like 50 degrees.
Yeah, you came down from
it was weak Florida people.
I should have brought my mucklucks or something. I'm not even sure what mucklucks are, but they sound like they're warm.
God.
All right. So I guess we got a bit of footage from there we can probably show. I see a big thing with my face on it. I don't know what else we want to say about what's going on.
Could you let us see the building a little?
Yeah, get my head out of the way. Oh my God, look at the size of that guy's head. It's like a monster.
It's bigger than the water tower in the background,
right.
Which you can't see from this angle, but there's a big Apex water tower right behind the site. So, and it's crazy because I was here just 2 weeks ago, if you saw the video that Dom referred to, and where all these people are walking was old concrete that they were breaking up. So what the amount of work they did in the last 2 weeks is nuts. When I was there, it was like a construction site. People would look at it and be like, yeah, this place isn't opening for like 2 months. There was nothing done. And it's funny how quickly they were able to do all this work. I won't say funny. It was very impressive with how quickly they're able to finish everything up. So, yeah, it was a lot of fun. And as Dom said, just the vehicles were just charging one after another, and it was really good. I didn't see or hear of anybody have a negative charging event. Everything worked perfectly. They were charging us 1 cent per kilowatt hour, so we did have to pay for our 1 cent. We had to pay for our electric, but that was just to test the payment process to make sure everything was working with credit card validations. And they would have given it away for free, but then they couldn't test the whole credit card interaction stuff and everything if it was just plug in and charge for free. So it was good. It was I had a great event. I charged my Lightning from 0 up to 90%. I got there before the event started because I didn't want to hog a charger for more than an hour. I think they were giving time limits on how long you could charge for because so many people signed up. So I showed up a little early and charged. I recorded the charging, and everything was flawless. It charged exactly what I would get time-wise on a functioning 350 kilowatt charger from Electrify America or EVgo. Was right at 1 hour for 0 to 90%, which is perfect charging session as far as I'm concerned. That's as good as the Lightning can do. And it was good watch. Santa Claus was there, and he's in the comment section here today, I noticed.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah, it was good. I gave out shirts. I gave away about 3 dozen State of Charge T-shirts. I had some coffee mugs and then cooked pizza. You can see, if you're watching on YouTube now, to the right of the screen, that's my Lightning with the frunk up next to now you can't see it, next to the Taycan. I parked over there after charging, and me and Pete just hung out, talked to everyone, and handed out some swag. So it was a great day.
It was a nice looking Taycan. Here you are.
Yeah, they were just right there. That's Pete and me. I'm there too at this point, just chatting with people. And I had a frunk full of shirts and coffee mugs and things like that were given out. So it was a good time. And then we started cooking the pizza a little later.
And I believe, this is, yeah, right.
The
This is
pizzas are in that
your
cooler.
box, right?
Yeah, well, that's where I had ice in there, and there's old bamboo in the back, and you can even notice through the bamboo, there's train tracks. Dom, do you
Right.
go on a safari back there? But
Yeah. I like the bamboo. I was
Yeah.
I made this little clip for my channel, and I just kind of went off on a little bamboo tangent for a second. I just love this.
Yeah. So I see someone's asking what was the charging speed for simultaneous charging. So all these the way Ionna's going to be using the Alpatronic 400 kilowatt chargers with split power. So each charger is going to service 2 bays, and it has a 600 amp maximum, 400 kilowatt, 600 amp max. So that's how it'll split the power, and that's me handing out some slices of pizza. But even with that fact that it splits power, because it can deliver up to 600 amps and 400 kilowatts, there's not going to be too many situations where people don't get as the most that their vehicle is requesting, unless a whole bunch of vehicles pulled in right at the same time, and that could all accept a lot of power. And even in that case, it would only give a little bit less than what the maximum charging rate could be. So I don't see that as a problem, as far as splitting power. And all the networks split power now. I mean, you go to EVgo's, all their new stations all split power from the unit. You could charge 2 vehicles. All the new EA sites split power between two chargers. They're 350 kilowatt sites. So at least these are 400 kilowatts and 600 amps. So they could deliver even more power than the current units being used by Electrify America and EVgo.
And Andrew, what was your favorite car though yesterday?
Ooh, that was tough. I think the Taycans were definitely cool because Porsche of Cary, I think, was there. And they had the Macan EV, which was pretty cool to check out. I don't know. I just thought it was so cool how many different cars were there that people drove in. Because even just like walking through the parking lot where like the overflow parking lot where everyone parked their cars, it was like you'd see like few Ioniq 5s, Kia EV6, you'd see Cybertrucks, just like so many different electric cars. So I don't know. And it's really cool just to see that many different vehicles instead of, because just a few years ago, if there was a big EV meetup, it would probably just all be Model 3s.
Right. Yeah, and there were some Model 3s there, Model Ys, but there's a lot of other, like Lucid Air.
Yeah, Lucid Air.
Oh, Fisker Ocean.
I saw a couple Oceans. That was interesting.
Yeah, Lucid Air. Did I say Fisker Air? Fisker.
I think you got it right. You said Lucid Air and Fisker Ocean. So
okay.
And this is a display screen that's up currently. If you're watching on YouTube, there's 2 different display screens that have data. This screen here has the state of charge. It also shows the amps. This is the screen that shows the current amps being drawn and the voltage, and it shows a charging curve. And now we just switched over to the other one that shows the current kilowatt draw and the state of charge. So it's cool. It actually will map out the full charging curve for you.
Right.
I think that's pretty awesome. It would be really cool if you could download it after. You could like download the Excel sheet, but I'm sure that there's too few nerds that that would want that.
Yeah. And that's, he just had it on the screen where you could see what both vehicles are doing when 2 vehicles are charging.
Yeah, so that's a one caveat I have with these chargers is I feel like there could be a circumstance where someone might accidentally stop someone else's charging session just because they may not realize what stall they're in. Do you think that would be an issue, or what do you all think about that?
That's possible too. Yeah.
It could happen. It absolutely could happen, just like it could happen on the EVgo stations that have one charger that services the 2 bays. So, and I've seen people confused on those also. So yeah, it could happen. But, I think that as people use these, that would only happen the first couple of times that you're charging on one. Once you get the hang of, this is my charger, you shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
This was a viewer's Hummer EV.
It was that one pull in.
There were a couple Hummers there, right?
Yes, I think I saw a black one as well. Is this a white one? As I was leaving town. Well, yeah, but it's not the this one. It's in the next stall. I pushed the wrong button, like you were saying, A and mixing the A and B up. So this is charging at 35 kilowatts, but it's not the Hummer that's doing that. It's the other stall.
Oh, you pressed the wrong stall because the Hummer was
Yeah,
pulling 300.
you can see the little nose of a Bolt TV poking out.
Yeah.
That's what's doing 35 or whatever kilowatts. Yeah, we figured that out after a bit. So as I was pulling out of town, I drove by some of the dealerships, and I saw the GMC dealership had like a row of Hummers. I don't know, there's at least a dozen there. So if you're looking for a Hummer EV and your local store doesn't have a stock, Cary, North Carolina, I believe is your place. I also saw some. I saw a VinFast VF9 on my way out of town.
Yes, the
I just
VinFast
saw.
dealer's right nearby.
Okay, well, I hadn't even seen a VF9 in person yet. I've driven the VF8 like prototype, but the VF9, I haven't even heard a whole lot of news about it, right? And so I just saw it kind of pull behind me on this cross street, and it was way too big to be the VF8. So yeah, it was kind of interesting to see actually a VinFast on the road, because we don't get a lot of those in Florida.
Yeah, interesting. Not trying to divert the conversation to VinFast, but there's like the dealerships are just rapidly expanding because Charlotte now has a VinFast dealer. So there's 3 VinFast dealers in North Carolina now, and they just popped up within this year. So I'm very curious. I really want to try to give because the VF9, they're doing test drives on that. So I'm really curious about testing out that car. So little side
That's
note.
in your area. That's in your area,
Yeah.
right?
Well, I'm not sure how to. I might message them like, hey, can I write an article on this? Or should I just go undercover and just be like, I'll test drive this vehicle? So I'll have to formulate my approach.
Okay. Do you make videos yourself? I don't think you have a channel, right?
I do have a YouTube channel, but I don't really regularly make videos. But
Okay.
I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'll get into it.
Yeah, maybe something to try out. I don't know. Yeah, that'd be cool though, because you're very conveniently located close to all that action over there.
Yeah, I'm very curious. Very curious to see what the new VinFast are like.
Here you can see the line of vehicles, waiting to charge up. You got your Lucids. You got Tesla Tino was there in his big Cybertruck he's taken up to the Arctic Circle.
Wow.
Yeah, there were a lot of vehicles there. It was good. And the one thing that I want to make sure we don't forget to point out is the interesting thing about this site here and this Rechargery is how it's a full service location. They have squeegees to clean your windows, garbage cans. So how many times have you gone to DC fast chargers in the middle of like these parking lots where they're not well lit? There's no garbage cans, there's trash all over the place, there's no amenities. They're going to have an air pump. The air pump wasn't installed yet, but you can fill your tires. You can go inside, which now you're walking in the main lounge. And then this main lounge here is going to be accessible 24/7 with those vending machines. And then you can go to the left, and this lounge is only open during the working hours. Down here's the restrooms. They're 24/7. You get into this first lounge through the app during off hours. You use your Ionna app, and it'll unlock the door. But now we're walking into the larger lounge with the cafe, and that's only going to be open during regular business hours. And there's 2 meeting rooms back there that you can book in advance and have like a quiet space. So if you need to maybe make a Zoom call or something while you're charging at the location, you could book that room. And then when you arrive, you can go in there while the car's charging, have your meeting. They also have this Ionna video game, which it's actually a whole bunch of games. It was pretty cool. I was playing Pac-Man for a little while. Yeah, right. I dating myself, right? Pac-Man. But yeah, you could select the games. That was pretty fun. Dom, did you play that at all? That video game thing?
I did. I had right about here.
Okay.
I had to figure it out. I had no idea what I was doing, and it's, as you can see on the screen, it's got like a ton of games. Yeah. And I was looking for Galaga, but I didn't see it real quick. But I did see a Pac-Man one eventually. And just kind of, but it played just a little bit. But it felt fine. It was kind of good.
It's funny, when I walked in for the first time, now that obviously wasn't there when I went 2 weeks ago for the construction.
Okay.
From the other side of the room, look at what it's shaped like. I was like, oh, and they have their own Ionna labeled ATM. I thought it was an ATM machine.
Right.
I mean, what else would it be when you look at it? You wasn't, until I walked up to it, I'm like, it's a weird ATM with joysticks and stuff. So, but I mean, this in itself, is it a big deal? Of course not. That there's a video
No.
game in the lounge, but what I think is it's showing that Iona's trying to think out of the box. They're trying to make these rechargeries different. Cover anything you need. You need a meeting, there's a room. You want to just relax in the lounge, just relax in the lounge. Free Wi-Fi. You want to play a video game? Here, we got a video game for you. So. I think that was important that they showed us, like, that they're doing all these little things, even the squeegees in the parking lot, that you can clean your windshield with is, I think it was a good little add. All these little things are little things, but they add up to a better charging experience.
Mhm. Now, I have a question regarding, and for both of you, because I'm just not as familiar with Ionna as you two probably are. But so what is the business model this supposed to be? Is this more, because obviously it's funded by, I think, 8 automakers. It's Toyota, GM, or I forgot GM's in there, but I forgot all the automakers. But is this
Stellantis,
supposed to be more of, Stellantis is in there?
Yes.
I know that. But is this going to be more of a, like, treated as an amenity for buying an EV? Or is this going to be an actual profitable business? Because I mean, there's tons of these amenities, and for me, it's like I'm just very curious about how the business side of this works.
Yeah, so I'll grab that, Dom.
Yeah.
Andrew, they didn't specifically say this is our goal of Ionity, but you're talking to their executives and talking to, through the years, I've talked to many executives at many of these companies. It went from them saying, we're not in the refueling business. We make cars. It's up to the customer to get their car refueled, whether it's gas, gasoline, diesel, hydrogen, electricity, whatever it is. That we don't do that. To understanding that part of the ownership experience of today is the charging experience with an electric vehicle.
Mhm.
You can't untether it from the ownership experience. So over the last couple of years, they realized that a lot of their customers weren't happy with their public charging experience, which was an extension of the happiness that they had with their vehicle that they purchased. So they realized we can't just close our eyes to this. So we need to improve public charging. And I know I'm not specifically answering your question, but what I believe is that they are taking the approach of this has to be a self-sustaining model, like a profitable, or at least breaking even at the very least, sustaining model after a certain amount of years. I don't think that they're looking at it as like, something that they're always going to be funding. That, that this is, we didn't want to have to do it, but what was out there was so bad that, okay, we're going to do it, and we're going to do it right. That's how I take it, just from talking to the different executives and whatever. I mean, the Volkswagen, the Electrify America really has that same thing, even though they were forced to do it. When I talked to the Volkswagen officials, years ago, they're like, once the consent decree funding is over, once the $2 billion is in, this thing has to be self-sustaining. We want to run this business. This is going to be a business for us, a profitable business for us. So I would imagine that Ionna has that same thought process.
Interesting. Yeah. Because I noticed the only difference with this and some of the more other chargers you see, like if you go to a charge point or something, these are, at least this flagship is a standalone one, and they own, I assume, the building there as well. Because you go to a charge point, they're normally at a certain business, and the business wants the charger there to maybe bring more people into their company or whatever. But this is, I don't know, it's a very interesting concept, and I'm excited for it, because this definitely does. Like if you even drive by and you're in a gas car, you're like, that place looks kind of cool. And that will definitely get more people behind the wheel of an EV.
Yeah. Well, just so you know, all of their locations are not going to be like this. They are going to have some locations where they just say lease the land and plop their chargers in. Like I think they just announced a deal with Sheets, where they're going to have their chargers installed at Sheets. So, but they did say that all of their locations will have like 24/7 restrooms, coffee, some type of beverage service, a place where you can go inside. Because I said, well, what if you find a corridor where you need a charger? There's a black hole of corridors, but the only locations are like these desolate parking lots, off the highway. They said, we won't put the chargers there. So they will, give up a stretch of land that needs a charger if they can't find one that has the customer experience that they want.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really cool.
That's great. On my way home yesterday, I stopped at several places that didn't have any amenities open. Either there wasn't anything there, or whatever was there was closed. Yeah, so it's very comforting to know, because sometimes you need to, go inside and take care of things. But
yeah, and then also, Dom, when businesses are closed, then it gets sketchy. Because now
True.
nobody's around,
Mhm.
and there's a lot of people that don't like being stuck in their EV, tethered to a charger, which, we know you can't just put it and drive away unless you have one of the EV jacks.
Mhm.
That's a concern for some people. So when you have it in an open business, anything can happen anywhere. Someone could walk up with you on a gun, post office, but at least when there's people around and it's well lit and there's action, there's less of a chance of you having trouble or somebody trying to take advantage of you. So I think that's good for Ionna to say no. All of our locations, whether we own and operate the property and do like a charger like this, or the other way, they're all going to be in places where it's well lit. There's restroom services. There's a place you can go inside and get something to eat. One of the person, I just saw a comment too that I had a lot of people ask me yesterday, why would they put this location here? Like, it's not along a major corridor. It seems like it's in the middle of a little town. Like, this is not where we should have these chargers. I had, at least 10 people say that to me, as much as they had a good time there. And you have to understand, we need DC fast chargers everywhere. First of all, of course, we need them along the major corridors, but there are areas where people live in apartments that, we don't want them always being stuck with on level 2. Level 2 is better, but sometimes they just can't do that. That's number one. Number two, Ionna's headquarters is like 2 miles away. So this was a perfect opportunity for them to grab a site that was available that would fit their business model, and they could make it like an example site. I'm sure executives from the 8 automakers that come want to take a look at or show other people what their sites look like, and this is right near their headquarters, so it gives them almost like a demonstration site to take people to and say, this is what we're all about here. That's why they selected this location. They're not going to actively seek out locations in the middle of these main streets in these tiny towns that across America. This just worked for them, and it was a good example of what they want to do, and it was really close to their headquarters.
Right.
Interesting, because it's kind of like what Mercedes did with their charging network, because their flagship location is like literally at their headquarters. So I guess they can keep a close eye on it.
Yeah, and there's plenty of reasons why you want to have a site close like that. You could test things out, but a big part of it is to show other people. Like, there's 8 companies. I'm sure all representatives from all the companies come to the headquarters. They can say, well, let's go down the road and take a look at the site that we have there. And just, I know we keep mentioning 8 automakers. Really quick, I'll put it out there. It's GM, Stellantis, Toyota, Honda, Mercedes, BMW, and Hyundai and Kia. Those are the 8 companies that have signed on. In the beginning, it was 7, but then Toyota joined a couple of months later. So right now it's 8 companies, and I'm sure the Ionna would accept other brands if people wanted to come in for the same amount of money that everybody else has kicked in. Really surprised that Ford wasn't part of that, but I guess they have their reasons.
Yeah. So we were speaking about profitability and just business models. I should mention that Tom and I interviewed the gentleman from Rove Charging earlier this week, and that's on the Batteries Included a YouTube channel, and you should check that out. And because they were saying they're already, so they have their site isn't really, they're not doing corridor charging site. They're doing more like urban location sites. So, and they're trying to co-locate a lot of amenities. So their site has like what you call a fresh market for one, car wash, a whole car wash, which is, those things generate money as well on their own. So there's that, and just like of course your vacuuming and tire pressure things like that, and your windshield squeegees and all those kinds of things. It has a solar canopy overhead, like kind of huge, and they have huge battery storage. But they were saying that they were profitable after the first month, at least cash cash profitable. Right. So I'm not exactly sure what all the moving parts are for the revenue streams, but it sounds good. I guess we'll see more as they continue to expand how that model develops, because they're still learning themselves, and there's probably lots of room for improvement in what they're doing. And to speaking with Ionna yesterday, they did actually mention Rove charging, so they're kind of watching what they're doing as well, and maybe we could see some of these elements show up at Ionna in the future. I don't know, but it's they're on their radar as well.
Well, that's one of the things I like talking to the executives from Ionna. They fully admit, they're like, we don't have it all figured out. Like, we're looking for feedback. We're checking out what other people are doing. We want this to be the best network that we could produce, and we admit we don't know everything. So which is really refreshing for people to hear. For me to hear executives say that, and they're like, we want your feedback. It's part of the reason why we did this soft opening. Tell us some of the things you like. Tell us some of the things you didn't like. Let us know what you'd like to see on future sites. So, it's always good when you hear the executive say that. Now, whether they actually listen and incorporate things is totally different, but it's at least nice to hear that, as opposed to, so often you hear companies say, listen, we know this business. We got it. Don't thanks for offering your advice, but we know this business, and it's like, do you really? So, but we'll see. It's, as I said yesterday quite a few times, I'm extremely hopeful that Ionna gets this right. It seems like they're doing a lot of things right from the beginning. They've had the opportunity to come in a little bit late, so they've learned from what other companies have done that hasn't worked, but they still have to execute. It's not like, okay, game over. They're going to have 30,000 Chargers in 5 years. This is awesome. They're going to blanket the country. That's their plans, but we have to stay on them, and we have to make sure that they deliver what they promised, and that everything works. And, we don't have just a repeat of some of the problems we've had earlier. That's unacceptable as far as I'm concerned from Ionna. The first wave of companies, the EVgo's, the Electrify Americas, that were doing it when really there was nothing else out there, and they had to basically invent the equipment to use. Now there's good equipment. There's multiple vendors. They've seen what works. The utilities know, like when Tesla started putting in superchargers, when they would approach a utility and say, we need this much power for here, the utility's like, what are you kidding me? That's as much power as that town uses, and so it took long to get permitting and interconnections. And even when Electrify America started, they were having problems because they were looking in areas that Tesla was in, and the utilities were telling them, well, yeah, if you were to come 2 years ago, we could provide this power, but we can't today because Tesla took all our excess capacity for their supercharger site right down the block. So, but now the utilities understand that this tremendous power draws are going to be needed all over, so they're preparing for it, and they're not surprised when a company comes and says, I need 3 megawatt hours of power on that corner of this sleepy town. They know it's coming, and they're preparing for it. And I've talked to executives in a lot of the utilities, some of the bigger utilities in the country, and that what they basically say is, look, we can supply the power if we know you're going to be requesting it. The problem is when we get blindsided and you say, we need this amount of power here, and we didn't see it coming. We know this is coming now. We know companies are going to be coming at us with sites for these high power charging stations, and we're preparing for it.
Yeah. All right. So we could probably move on. Tom, I see that you did a highway range test this week, published on the Inside EV's YouTube channel. Did you want to talk about that just a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So I actually did it a while ago. It just took Inside EV a long time to post it. Yeah, I did it on Halloween. Okay. Actually. So how many days ago was that? I guess 50 days ago. But they had asked me to do a highway range test with the Ioniq 5N. And which is a blast to drive. Like the worst thing you can do with that is drive it at a constant 70 miles an hour. That is like it's torture because it's such a
Right.
fun EV to drive with the N grin mode and just to set the cruise control to 70 and drive it till it stops is like the worst thing you can do with a Ioniq 5N. It really surprised me. It was one of the most fun, maybe even the most fun I've had in an EV in a long time. And I'm not a guy for the artificial noise and the fake gear shifting because I've never seen it really implemented well on an EV. It's always just gimmicky and like this is a waste of time. But I have to say, Hyundai did a great job with it. It's got a artificial 8-speed gearbox. It's no gearbox, but it's artificial with paddle shifters on the steering wheel. It has simulated exhaust sound. I mean, it sounds like a fart can. Like it's got when you slow up in a low gear, it gets the bang. Boom, 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 as it's rumbling as you're I mean, downshifting, it makes different noise. They actually did a really good job with it. I would have never thought that I was going to like it. I when I got the car on loan, I was like, yeah, I'm going to just turn this off and just drive it and have some fun. But then I started playing around with the gears and the artificial sound, and I'm like, this actually like sounds like I'm in a combustion vehicle, and it makes the driving experience. It does change the driving experience. A lot of petrol heads talk about how they want to hear that audible feedback. They want to feel the vibrations in the steering wheel. That's part of the driving experience, and I get that. I understand why people like that. But I've been driving EVs so long, high performance EVs, that I've kind of forgotten what that feels like. And while I didn't get the vibrations and everything, that audible feedback and the gear changing and everything, I just kept laughing as I'm driving around, downshifting and changing. I had a big smile on my face. So it was a lot of fun driving it. But the range test was super boring, as you can imagine. It went a little bit more than the EPA range rating, but I had a huge problem at the end. Dom, did you watch the video?
I have not. I was just I got home. It was pretty late.
You just had it up on the screen, and that was like the first seconds of the video.
Oh yeah, the first second is great. It starts off like something's going. I can't play. Unfortunately, I can't play the video just in case we get a copyright strike or whatever.
Oh yeah, but, yeah, you're right. But I should have sent you the file. So what happened was, as I was coming up to the end of the range test, I used the navigation to take me to an Electrify America site. And what I did was I made a mistake. I selected the wrong site because I didn't want to navigate to Electrify America. I navigated to the Walmart that the Electrify America was at, because if I navigated to Electrify America, the battery conditioning would have turned on automatically on the car.
True.
And I didn't want to use any of that energy. When I do the range tests, I want to use all the energy to propel the vehicle. So instead, I looked up on the Hyundai navigation system, which I'm not terribly familiar with, Walmart. And I clicked on Walmart in the town that I was going to. And I didn't realize there were 2 Walmarts in that town.
Oh, geez.
And I selected the wrong one. So I ended the range test at 0. Like I get off the highway and I'm at 0% state of charge and 0 miles remaining. And I pull it as I'm approaching the Walmart. I'm like, this isn't the Walmart that I'm supposed to be at, because I know what it looks like. And I'm like, damn, I'm calling a tow truck. So I pulled over and I figured it out. I'm like, I want to see if there's another charger close by. There's an EVgo station 0.5 miles away or 0.8 miles away, and it was closed. Okay. It was under construction. Or under repairs. So the closest place was the Walmart that I wanted to go to, and it was 6 miles away. So I had to drive in turtle mode at 18 miles an hour to the other Walmart, and I made it. But it was like everyone was passing me. People were like giving me dirty looks. I had the hazards on, and I'm just like crawling along at 18 miles an hour on a 45 mile an hour road, and it was pretty funny. But I'm sure it wasn't the best or safest thing to do, but it was no problem. People were passing me and giving me dirty looks.
The car sounds. I guess they don't probably change if you only got if you're in turtle mode, right?
Yeah, you can turn off the sounds, and
Okay.
actually I think I did turn them off for the range mode, for the range test, because I turned everything off that can consume any kind of power. So
True.
yeah, but it was a harrowing experience at the end. I'm on my phone searching for tow companies and seeing if any of my friends could go to my house and get my Lightning and drive to me, because I could use the Pro Power on board and charge it, like if I'm stuck on the side of the road. But I was like 50 miles from my house, so that would have been a tall ask. But we made it. I crawled, limped into the place, and ended up with 230 miles. The EPA range rating is 221. You take a big hit with the 5N for, with the EPA range, with all the extra power and those really wide, sticky tires that it
Yeah.
has. So it's all about your priorities. What's most important to you? Going another 30 or 40 miles, or ripping it around, the track on the weekends. So it doesn't have the range. I wish it had a little bit more range, but it's not made for that. I mean, the car's made to be, it's like a, Hyundai's, the Hyundai N vehicles are like, supposed to be super high performance. They're like the BMW M cars. So you don't worry
Right.
about efficiency if you're getting an N vehicle. That's not what you're buying it for.
Right. And I guess if you wanted to go on a road trip, you could swap out your tires. You have your set of road trip tires, and you have your regular fun around town tires. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed my week with the 5N. It's a really fun vehicle to drive. I don't know if I'd get one. It's just, I'd love to rent one every now and then, but even the ride was really stiff. You could feel every bump you go over, because those the tires, the wheel combination, the suspension is really stiff. So it might not be the EV that I would buy, but it's definitely the EV that I'd want to rent every now and then.
Right. So this week you also published one of your videos where you visit a viewer with a charging issue and help them fix it. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is recharge repair. State of charge fixes a dangerous EV charging outlet failure. How did it go? Where was this at?
So a follower of mine contacted me on Twitter and said, "Hey Tom, I know you went and fixed that one guy's problem in Texas a few months ago. Look at what happened to me here." And he goes, "I have to admit, I did a self-install. I saved some money. I bought a cheap $10 outlet, and I paid the price." He goes, "I could have had a big problem here, but if I just wanted you to see this, and could you give me the number, or what's the name of your sponsor again, because I want to make sure it gets done right this time. I'll pay for it and get it done right." So I contacted him and said, "Look, this is a great example for me to make a video on. Would you like me to come out and I'll fix it for free?" And he said, "The plug burned, charred on my charger also. So I don't know if I feel comfortable." I said, "If it's charred at all, I don't want you using it. I'll bring you a charger also. And I'll get Q-Merit to come, their local contractor, put in a new outlet." He wanted another outlet. He didn't want it hardwired, and fix it. So I did that. And I tell you, I'm definitely going to do more of these. So if anybody out there has a similar problem like this with an outlet or your charger where it was installed and you had some kind of problem, please let me know, because I'll come out and repair it. I have to tell you, I have gotten a tremendous amount of people contact me after I made this video, more so than the first video I did. And that was even a worse problem. But
Right.
I have so many people contacting me now, at least 20 emails, people sending me pictures. They're like, "Tom, because of this video, I opened up my outlet and it's all melted and charred. Thank you so much, because now I'm calling an electrician. I'm going to swap it out." And somebody at the event yesterday I was talking to, and even got a little choked up about it. And he's like, "I just want to thank you." He goes, "You might have saved my family's life." He said, "I opened up my NEMA 1450 outlet after seeing this, and it's all melted on the inside." He goes, "It's
Ooh.
ready to give." So, just a public service announcement. If anybody has one of these cheap $10 outlets, you have to swap it out before you have a problem. I guarantee you it's going to fail. It might take a year, it might take 2 years, it might take 4 years if you're charging at a lower rate. Maybe you have your charger dialed down to 24 amps, but I promise you it will fail. And at the worst that'll happen is just fails and it melts and you replace it. You could have a much bigger problem. So please open up your outlets, just check them. If you don't know what kind of outlet was used, turn off your circuit breaker, take the plate off, and just take a look at it in there. If anything looks melted or charred, swap it out, or have your charger hardwired. Hardwired is better, but I know I can't get everybody to go to hardwired. Some people just want outlets. If the outlet is done properly and you use the right outlet, like one of these here, so I just happen to have it in front of me. This wasn't keyed up. You can see how deep this outlet is compared to the one if we switch if you see the outlet there, they're usually, the cheap ones are like half this thickness. Everything is under engineered on those, and they have screw-in connections as opposed to this. See these clamp connections in here, as opposed to the screws that you tighten. Those always seem to be the point of failure of these outlets. That's where they start to fail. But I just got, while I was down in North Carolina yesterday, Dom, somebody sent me a picture, emails, whole bunches of pictures from their house. And they're like, I can't believe this. I thought for sure, because he had an electrician do his house, I thought for sure he used a good outlet and everything. And he said, look at this. He goes, this is ready to go, at any minute. Thank you so much. He goes, I'm calling the electrician back out. I'm going to make him come and fix this. So I'm getting a lot of people now are opening up their outlets like I recommend, and telling me this thing was about to fail. So I'm going to lean heavy into this, and I'm going to continue to beat this drum and tell people, if you have an outlet, open it up, take a look on it. If you're not sure if it's a good quality outlet, just buy another one. Buy a Hubble, or Leviton now makes a dedicated EV charging outlet, and it's really high quality. I think it's at least as good as the Hubbles.
Okay.
And make sure you swap that out. We don't want to have any problems. I want to keep everybody safe out there. Not just for your safety and your family safety. Think of what harm you'll do to the industry if a family of 4 dies because their charger burned up, the outlet burned up and melted the house. How many people then won't go out and buy an EV because they're afraid? They're like, I don't want that in my garage. And you can see, if you're watching on YouTube now, the difference between the really poorly made small ones and the good high quality industrial grade ones.
So this one you showed, the Hubble is a good one.
Yeah, Hubble's a good one. The 2 I'm holding up now is the Hubble and the EV specific Leviton. Now I'm picking up the $10 Leviton. You see it on the far left, and it has those screw connectors. If your NEMA 1450 outlet has those screw type connections, clamp connect, where you screw the wire in, replace it. Those fail all the time. Okay,
good to know.
Yeah, so you're gonna see a lot of this stuff on State of Charge, because I know it's helping people. Just from all the emails and the people that have contacted me now saying, geez, just because you said that, I opened up, and I really want to thank Fritz. If you're watching YouTube now, that's Fritz. He's the homeowner. He was willing to come on and say, look, I did this myself, and I was wrong. I shouldn't have. Because a lot of people don't want to go on camera and admit that they did something that they shouldn't have. And that's a public service that he did. Coming on and admitting, look, I did this, and I wasn't aware that these cheaper outlets were that bad. He actually then learned it months later, and he bought a Hubble outlet, but he didn't replace it. It was in his garage. He's like, yeah, I bought it 4 months ago. I just never got around to it, and I should have changed it immediately.
Speaking of Apex, that was a different place.
Yeah, totally other side of the country. But that was the local Q-Merit contractor out in Apex, Washington. So he replaced everything, pulled a new wire, and a lot of people are saying, yeah, he should have hardwired it. I have tons of comments on that. And that would have, in my opinion, that would have been a better solution. But it's his house, and he wanted an outlet. And I'm not, if that's what you want, then as long as it's done right, you won't have a problem with it. And I still tell people, even when it's done right, open it up once a year. Just take a peek in there. It takes 2 minutes to shut your breaker off, take the cover plate off, and just take a look. Make sure it all looks good. If you use a high quality industrial grade outlet and all the connections are torqued to the specifications, you shouldn't have a problem with it. It's when it's done incorrectly that you have a problem. So I understand a lot of people are commenting, oh, you should have hardwired it. That would have been a better installation. But look, it's your house. You can do what you want as long as you do it right.
And they got the Grizzly going in.
Yeah, he has two EVs. He has a Lightning and a Model Y. So he actually, when he talked about the fact that his outlet burned, his charger burned, he was like, I'm thinking about maybe getting a charger that can do two vehicles at once. So I reached out to Gleb over at United Chargers and said, hey, Gleb, this is a problem here. Can you maybe sell me one of these at a discount, because I'm going to provide it to this customer here. Maybe give me a little break on it, because I'm already paying for the repairs and everything. And Gleb said, Tom, give me his address. I'll send it to him for free. So that's good on Gleb. He shipped out the Grizzly Duo to Fritz for free.
Awesome. That's Gleb's the best. That's great. All right. So you also had another, that's interesting, layout. I'm not sure how we lay ourselves out here. Here we go. Does that look, okay, it's fine. So you also had a video this week checking out Ford's new co-engineered Electron NACS to CCS1 adapter. This is... So yeah, here you are with all the adapters like kind of laid out there. Oh, actually, am I sharing that?
You're not sharing it. So yeah,
I'm enjoying this video all by myself here.
While you figure that out, Ford sent me one of their new co-engineered Electron adapters made by Electron. So I wanted to explain what the differences were. In the Electron adapter, and there's three things that I saw. The biggest thing is the interlock pin. There's a pin in between the two DC pins that depresses in when you attach the adapter to the vehicle, and it virtually locks the NACS connector to the adapter. So you cannot remove the NACS adapter until you remove the NACS connector, until you remove the adapter from the vehicle. Ford insisted on having it. They wanted that. They didn't want there to be any chance that somebody could, say, pull the NACS connector out of the adapter while it was hot. If you remember, Electron had some problems early on their first batch. You were able to pull it out. The lock wasn't working properly. With this new interlock, that cannot happen. That's number one. Number two, the exterior design is slightly different. The outer casing is a little different. It might had to have been made differently because of this pin. And then I also noticed the CCS lock on top, the switch lock, is thicker. The metal is a thicker grade, so if you drop it, it might withstand a little bit of a more severe hit without breaking than the Electron Vortex one does. But other than that, they're 1,000 volt, 500 amp. All the innards are supposedly the same. So I just basically showed the difference between the two. And Wolfie says, any update why it was recalled? Yeah, it was recalled because the lock, the NACS side lock, wouldn't lock the connector to the adapter properly, and you could literally pull it out while it was hot, which you shouldn't be able to do when the connector's locked to the adapter. Whether it's hot or not, you shouldn't be able to pull it out unless you depress the switch, the release switch. And with the first batch of Electrons, you could just pull the NACS adapter out. Matter of fact, Brendan, who's in the comment section here, Flash, was the first person to realize that, to notice that when he was using it one day. So props to him. So that's why it was recalled. But that was very early on. That was like in March or April, something like that, the first batch. And it wasn't an engineering problem. It was a manufacturing problem. Electron's manufacturing contractor wasn't making the adapter to specification.
In the comments, Matt P is asking, is Ford actually shipping these adapters yet? Tried to call the other day, and they said it's on hold still.
From what I understand, they're shipping them. They sent me mine, and from what I understand, they're getting a ton of these. They secured a huge order from Lectron, and that these things are shipping out. They should be shipping out now. I mean, Ford assured me that they were going to have all of their customers that are back ordered on these things, adapters in their hand very soon. I tried to pin a date down. They wouldn't give me a date. That's understandable. Companies don't like doing that because if they're just one day late, there's articles out saying they missed their date, you know. Yeah, and I brought all my adapters down yesterday to Apex for the Ionna event, and Ionna actually needed to borrow them because there were some NACS stations open,
Right.
and customers there with CCS vehicles,
Right.
and so I had a whole like bucket full of NACS adapters, and Ionna was using them yesterday.
Nice, very nice. All right.
And
So
I want to ask Andrew. That's what I've been up to lately. Andrew, what have you been up to lately?
yeah, I was just going to get.
Yes.
I was going to get to Andrew. So
Okay.
last night on my
I
way
feel like
back, it was
he's our guest here today, and we're
right.
I'm dominating the conversation. So I want to hear.
It's good. I have something special for the end of the video though, which I will reveal later, but it's really cool. It's like deal related. But yeah, I've been just covering some. I've been super busy with like school stuff, but I've been getting back into Inside EV, so I have some articles coming out. Specifically, I did one really interesting range test at 60, 65, 70, 75, and 80 miles per hour, and I graphed it all out. So that data, I'm just gotta go through it because there's a lot of data in that regard. And I think Tom, you did a video like that with the Lyric, right? 70 versus
exactly.
80.
So now I have questions. Did you go 0 to 100? Did you go full? 100% down to 0 each time?
No. So this was actually really, I tested it in a very interesting way because I was realizing the roads I'm on, obviously they're not flat. And if I did like a stretch of highway, it was very difficult. So what I did is I did a whole loop that I mapped out where I'd start in a parking lot and then go on the highway, get up to whatever the speed is, then do a whole loop on the highway at that speed, and then make sure to time my deceleration and acceleration at the same points. So like when I get to the off ramp, I'd start slowing down, and then go back to the original starting point and then reset the trip odometer on the car.
Well, how many miles did you do each one at each speed? That's what I'm curious about.
I did about 5 or 6. There were about like around 50 trials total. Mm-hmm. So, because I actually did this for a statistical project for school. So I had to do, I think it was 48 trials in total. And each of those trials was between like 5. And at the peak, I did one trial that was 20 miles at the most.
Okay. It's a lot of work doing these comparisons.
Yes,
you know?
it was it was like crazily. Yeah. I was like, in the car.
With my Lyric video, I wasn't shocked, but I was a little surprised at just how much that 10 miles made. And I know EVs, I know between 70 miles an hour and 80 miles an hour, it is a huge difference for your range. But even I was surprised. I think it was like 65 miles less on a Cadillac Lyric if you're driving at 70 miles an hour versus 80 miles an hour. That's huge. Think about that. Like huge. 60 miles more if you just slow down 10 miles an hour. So I'll be interested to see your results.
Yeah, and I did mine in a Renault Polestar 2. I was actually writing an article on that car for Business Insider, but I had Polestar 2 for the week, and I'm like, I'm just going to do some range tests in it. And I definitely got pretty big numbers, but obviously my deltas my delta is probably going to be similar percentage because all EVs are going to be less range at higher speed. But since the car's just not that efficient and only has a range of around 250 miles, I forgot the numbers off the top of my head, but I was seeing more like probably like 35-ish, I would say, between 70 and 80. But I would expect that because just the car has less range than the Lyric.
Yeah.
But it was still pretty interesting nonetheless. And I'm trying to think about what else. And then I've always been compiling all the EV deals on LinkedIn and just like the comparisons, because I think that's something that's really kind of cool, just looking at the price points, because I think a lot of people just don't realize how affordable EVs have gotten recently. And it's kind of the obvious choice, in my opinion, for a lot of vehicles. And if you want to, I actually compiled a bunch of really cool end of year EV deals to talk about. And I'm not sure if you want to say that more towards the end of the episode, but I'd be happy to go into them.
Yeah, yeah, we were talking last night, so wasn't a big news week this week. So Andrew and I were talking, and he covers all these lease deals and financing deals, and so I thought it would be a great idea if just share some of what's out there right now for the end of year specials, or what maybe some people can look forward to in January as well. I think you have some insight
because
into that as
January,
well.
the whole landscape's going to change. I think,
Okay.
especially with the tax credit, because there's so many 2023 EVs up for sale right now that don't qualify for the tax credit because they have to be 2 years old. So
use tax credit.
yes, and especially with the Nissan, I always mess up the pronunciation. I know you corrected me last night, Dominic, but Aria.
Yes, Aria. I think it's Aria. Yeah.
Aria, the Nissan electric crossover, I'll refer to it as. But that one, there's like so many of them on the market right now, between $20,000 to $25,000. Now, obviously, we know the dealers are going to play games with the tax credit. So the car that's $21,000 now is going to be $25,000, but now you get the $4,000 tax credit, so it's going to be a similar price. But I'm sure there's going to be some cases where some of these some of these electric crossovers are around like $22,000. So you could probably just tell the dealer, like, hey, it's like late December. Can you just sell this to me January 1st? And then I get it for 18. Because these cars I think they're kind of underrated and they've depreciated so much. It's like, I think that's a pretty good choice, at least early January. But for people not wanting to wait till January, I do have some interesting offers, brand new. And I think the first one is the Ford Mustang Mach-E. So as we all know, the 2025 Mach-E is going to be a lot less expensive than the current model year. So Ford's actually doing $5,000 off MSRP on current Mach-E. So you can actually, with destination fees, because that's how I like to do all the posts with destination, because destination fees vary widely. Like BMW, it's $1,000 for destination, but Ford, it's $2,000 for destination on the Mach-E at least. And right now, you can get a brand new Mach-E for $36,990 with the destination fee, which I think is a pretty good offer right now.
Well, what was that?
Do you have any strong opinion?
Say that again?
The $36,990 for the Mach-E, and that would be a rear-wheel drive with the LFP battery.
Oh, that's not bad. That's a smaller battery. That's what, 200 miles of range?
250 miles of range, and I think 266 horsepower. They actually got a little bit quicker for 2024. I think a little more torque, I believe.
Okay. I mean, that's a decent starting price. And then
yeah.
And then
because especially in that range, it's like, what gas car are you going to get for that? I mean, because like a RAV4 is like in the low 30,000 range, brand new. And by the time you add on the options to make it similar to like what you get in the Mach-E, because obviously Mach-E is a little bit more premium than that, it's like you're going to be looking at a similar price point. So that was a great deal. An even better deal is the Chevy Equinox EV, and you own one, correct, Tom?
Yeah.
Okay. So these deals have gotten insane because, first of all, you get the $7,500 point of sale tax credit on it. But more importantly than that, if you're a Costco member, you get an additional $1,000 off. And now this new special is pretty insane. It's another $1,500 off the price of the car. And listen to this. All you have to do is currently own or lease a 2010 or newer car. It's like pretty much everyone fits in that category. Or maybe someone in your family does.
I got that deal, but they changed it. It was $1,500 off if you currently lease another vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So like, and that's why I got all my friends to come and buy. 4 people in my town now have Equinoxes, because I was like, look at this. You get the $7,500. You get the $1,000 if you're a Costco. You get $1,500 if you lease another vehicle, or if you own a Bolt EV. That's right.
Yes, they used to do $2,500. Yeah, $2,500 for Bolt loyalty, which is insane. And then you can stack that with the other discounts. So,
and Andrew, in New Jersey, I get $4,000 off. So I got additional. I got $7,500. I didn't get the $1,000 because I'm not a Costco member. I cheat. I use my parents' card, and so the $7,500, the $4,000 state, the $2,500 because I'm a Bolt owner. And it was ridiculous. Like, how can I not do that? I made a one-time lease payment of $7,000. I cut the dealer a check for $7,000, and that's it. And I have it for 2 years. And what else was there? That includes. See, it might not sound that great, but the car only cost me like $5,500. The additional 1,600 and change or whatever was
Taxes.
New Jersey registration and all that stuff. You know what I mean? Because now New Jersey has a new EV tax. So it was like,
That's so funny because they give you an EV tax credit, but then they also tax you for having an EV. Where in North Carolina, they just tax you for having an EV. They give you, it's like a $300 registry.
The tax that New Jersey added is really, it's a shame. It's paying more money than I'd pay in gas tax driving a comparative gas vehicle over that time period. So it's really punishing.
Yeah, dang. But for people who want to buy, though, $24,995 is the price. And then some dealers do additional fees too, which is crazy. So there's a dealer in Alabama called Donahue Chevrolet. I actually put in, when they said the Silverado was going to be $39,995, I put in $100 deposit at that dealer because they don't do any markups or, well, I guess that was more important then, but they don't do any, I forgot what the fee was. They don't do any like dealer administration fees and stuff like that. And I think everyone working there is salaried. So that's a good dealer to check out if you're looking for a GM product. But yeah, great dealership. And they're doing about $23,000 with all incentives on the Chevy Equinox EV, which is just pretty insane. And the good thing about the Equinox EV is that now it comes standard in the LT form with adaptive cruise control, which is a great feature because previously on the Bolts, you had to get like the Premier 2LT to get adaptive cruise. So you get adaptive cruise, 319 miles of range, 303 in your range test, Tom, but still great car. And yeah, I think that's a pretty awesome deal.
It is. And I know there was a comment really early on today, somebody saying, Tom, why aren't you making Equinox content? I put out a couple videos as soon as I got my Equinox, and yeah, I haven't put out a lot recently. I've just been super busy doing a lot of stuff and traveling, and bandwidth is my biggest enemy. But I have a couple of Equinox things in the pipeline that I'm going to be working on. Definitely like a 3-month ownership review to talk about the things I like and I don't like. I'm going to do a full infotainment system review where I go over every screen and every setting that you could do in the infotainment system. Those are on my my imaginary chalkboard, so you'll be getting them soon.
Jeff Keenan in the comments is asking you, Tom, can you talk about the federal tax credit for EV charger installs?
I thought about doing a video just on incentives, and that's probably something that I will do a dedicated video on. And the problem is, well, so many of the incentives have triggers from like income and so forth. It's hard to cover a lot of things, particularly like a lot of utilities have incentives for charging equipment, but there's 3,000 plus utilities in the U.S. and they all have different programs and different qualifications, and they don't all have incentives. So I know the federal tax credit is something that is overreaching. So maybe I can do something like that to explain that. But I got to tell you, I expect that to be gone in a few months. So I don't know. It's not going to be an evergreen video. I'll tell you that.
Right. So, Andrew, did you have any other deals out there?
3 more.
Okay.
Yes. And these are lease deals now. So these are for people who don't want to put money up front. And one of them is Lightning XLT standard range. So I really only care about the lease price when you factor in all the fees that they add on and your down payment. So your effective monthly payment with just paying your first month up front is $402 a month. So basically $402 a month, $402 down on the F-150 Lightning XLT. And this is a national offer. Anyone can get this. And there's an additional conquest bonus. I don't think it works on leases though. I think it's only for purchase, but if you're a Ram owner. But $402 a month. And I think probably for the viewers, there's maybe not a ton of Ram owners in here, but $402 a month for a brand new Lightning is not bad. And that's a 36-month lease. So that's pretty good. And then also Honda Prologue, you can get one of those for $312 a month. And that would be for an all-wheel drive EX, which is not bad.
Is that how much
but
down?
That's only $312 down. So that'd be just first month. So
every month is $312.
They're killing it. The Prologue is killing it. It's the third most sold electric vehicle like the last month or two or last quarter, for whatever it was, in the US, it's only behind the Model Y and the Model 3. Who saw that coming?
Well,
Yeah.
with the head of the
Outselling the
Mach-E,
Blazer, which it's based on,
right? It's outselling the Mach-E because the Mach-E's doing pretty good this year too, right?
right? Well, I don't know not for the whole year, just like the
Right.
last month or two, Dom.
Mhm.
It might even have just been the last month, I forget, but it's number 3 in the country in EV sales. They sold like over 6,000 of them, I think, in November.
Wow.
Uh,
Yeah, because I was siphoning through the Kelly Blue Book data on just all that was for Q3 2024, and it was just crazy how well the Prologue is doing. I mean, for objectively, I mean, it's not the best car. I mean, it's fine in most attributes, but that just really shows the true significance of brand awareness and some decent incentives they're offering. But it's
Brand
just like people are
loyalty.
like, yeah, it's a Honda. Honda makes great cars. They're going to make a great EV. And a lot of people don't even realize that's on the same platform as a Blazer, which isn't a bad car, by the way. But the other impressive thing is how well that sales or those sales are, considering it's on the same platform as the Lyric, the Blazer, the upcoming Vistique, and I feel like I'm forgetting something else. But I mean, you have all these cars on the same platform, and they're all doing pretty well. And then the Prologue is like doing exceptionally well. So that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Honda owners are extremely loyal. And it's one of those brands that people just keep getting them. I mean, before my dad he's driving my Bolt now, my dad, he had like 6 Accords in a row. Like he just kept leasing them or buying them every not buying, he wouldn't lease, he'd buy, but every 3 or 4 years, get a new one, get the new one, get the new one. I owned a couple of CRXs in the 80s. I loved my Hondas back then, but that just goes to show you, same with Toyota. Toyota has tremendous brand loyalty. If they ever put out a really good, I mean, the BZ4X isn't doing that bad, and it's a terrible EV in my opinion. If they ever
100%.
put out a really good EV, like, I just think they just didn't want to. Toyota didn't want to show that people want EVs, and it's part of their business plan. They wanted to continue to sell hybrids as long as possible because they own the market. They make the best hybrids in the world. So why would you want to give up the golden goose? So that's why they just kept saying, EVs don't work. EVs don't work. No one wants them. And if they would have built a good one, it would have proven everything that they said wrong.
Yeah, and that's
They're-
really interesting. Oh, sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
No,
Tom.
no, please go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, because with the ETNGA, so that's the Lexus RZ, Toyota BZ4X, Subaru Solterra, and I had a Solterra for like a month or a week over the summer, and it was not the best EV. I will say that. Like, it tells you no information. You put on the AC, and it just automatically takes off 40 miles of your range. You put on the AC with just the fan on, so no AC at all, just the fan, also takes off 40 miles of range. So it was like, you had no idea what the range was. It was just like, and I don't think I ever saw above 43 kilowatts on a DC fast charger on that vehicle either. And I don't think there's a way to precondition the battery.
There's no reason for that. Toyota has tremendous battery experience, more than almost any company in the world. Toyota has battery experience. They nerfed it. They literally didn't want to make it that good. If they, instead of making the BZ4X, if they just made a RAV4, like they give this weird freaking name and, bad, everything not up to current EV standards. If they would have built a RAV4 EV like they could have, and even continued selling their other RAV4, but just built a dedicated electric one, a good one, man, they wouldn't be able to make them fast enough, and they just didn't want to. It's clear as anybody can see.
I totally agree.
Mike the Car Geek has a bit of faith in them. He says in 5 years, Toyota is going to be among the best at EVs. And it's very possible. They have the ability, the technical abilities and expertise over there. I mean, they've got some great engineers and experience with EVs and batteries and electric motors and, electric motors and batteries. That's all what hybrid systems are involved with in that as well. So
and Toyota's credit.
They could be today if they wanted to. They just don't want to. You can't tell me anything else. They could have built a killer like RAV4 version electric vehicle, but they just didn't want to. They don't want. I think they don't want their customers to see that electric vehicles work, and they can be good or better than the hybrids that they sell, because hybrids are so profitable for Toyota.
Interesting.
Right.
But that's another interesting thing too, is why they went into Ionna. So maybe they have future EV plans that they don't want to share. I don't know. But I think the
And
other
they
thing
joined
too is
lately. They joined after, Andrew. I think they finally just admitted we can't hold, we can't continue the smoke screen. We
they're
have to
probably going
pivot
to tell
now. Yeah.
yeah, they're probably going to tell Ionna, like, don't put the charge curve up, like for the VC4X, like you can't display that. That'd be off limits. But yeah, no, it's interesting though, because I did read some data on the ETNGA EVs, and they actually outsold. So all those three
Mhm.
cars outsold the Volkswagen MEB EVs in the United States. So and
Mhm.
that was in Q3 2024. I know the ID4 had some issues. I forgot when
Stop
those
sale.
arose.
It still has a stop sale since September.
September. Okay.
Yeah.
So would that be in Q3?
Yeah.
That would probably
September would be.
okay. So Q3 would be from what, July 1st to late
So
late
September
September.
30th.
Okay. But I guess even in that period, it was still really interesting how Toyota had relatively decent sales of their cars, well outsold like Volvo EVs. Like they're doing really poorly here for some reason in terms of sales. But yeah, and that just begs the question: like, if these cars were actually just slightly better, or actually maybe significantly better, better charging speeds, better range, etc., they would probably be number 3 right next to the Prologue.
Right. Yeah.
And they're slashing prices too for 2025. That's another thing. So BZ4X is down 6,000 in MSRP, and I think the Lexus RZ is down over 10,000 in MSRP, if I'm correct, or maybe somewhere in that range, because I think its new MSRP is like 44 for the Lexus RZ for 25,
Right. And if
which is
you're not
still
road
too
tripping,
much.
yeah, but if you're not road tripping, I heard the Lexus is kind of nice, as far as just like a round town EV. If you're not, of course, it doesn't have the best range, it doesn't have the fastest charging, but if you just use it in town, charging at home, those aren't things that you need to worry about anyway. It's most more just physical comfort and drivability, and it's just like the everyday car things, basically.
I can't disagree.
Yeah. All right. We should probably hit some news really quick before I get out of here. We mentioned at the top that Ram has delayed its full EV pickup. This is the Inside EV's headline. Ram delays full EV pickup, bets on Ram Charger E-Rev first. So we were expecting the Ram 1500 Rev to kind of come out right around now, the end of the year, beginning of 2025. And just like within a month or two of us expecting to see it, or even possibly now, they've put it back by a whole year. It's going back, and now they're going to lead with the E-Rev. The Ram Charger, Ram Charger. So that's an E-Rev. So that's a battery electric vehicle, but with an internal combustion component as well. So it'll have an engine, and I think this is smart. I don't think the E-Rev, I don't think they moved the timing up at all. I think that's still kind of just where it was going to be originally, as far as I know. I don't know if you have any insight into that, Andrew.
I'm not too familiar. I did get to check out the REV or Rev, whatever it is, in person, which was kind of cool at Stellantis' headquarters. But yeah, I think it would probably make sense for them to just bring out the E-Rev first, because there is no extended range electric pickup, or even really no extended range EV on the market right now, I don't believe, because i3 is discontinued, obviously. Chevy Volt, which was I know that was more of a series parallel combo. But right now, I don't think besides like the Karma, but that one's like I think they sold 1,000 since the company existed. But I'm not sure if there's any extended range EVs on the market right now. Do you guys know?
Yeah, I'm not sure. No, but I think this is really the move. I kind of was excited about the Ram 1500 Rev, but I mean, it makes sense to lead with the E-Rev, especially after seeing or hearing the results of the Scout just did their debut, and then their pre-orders.
80%.
We heard that's the rumor. They wouldn't. We spoke with them, and they wouldn't verify that number, but that was the rumors, and so it seems like super heavy E-Rev demand in the truck world. So I feel like it's a different thing than cars because the e-rev system really comes in handy for towing long distances, and it's got a huge battery already. It's like 100 kilowatt hour battery or something in that. And so,
Yeah, I believe around that.
Yeah. What do you think, Tom?
But I think it's
Good
a
move?
cool concept because you get 150 miles of electric range. Then it's followed up. I forgot how much the gas is, but it's like for someone who wants a truck that can do really everything, it's you got plenty of electric range around town. And then if you're someone who's like, yeah, I need to tow my mobile home or I don't know, something across the country, it's like you can still do that. So I'm a big fan of hybrids in general. I would prefer to drive an EV, but I think there's definitely a spot for a vehicle like that.
Yeah, I think it's
Right.
the right move for Ram at this point. There's also, I mean, there's already a bunch of fully electric four fully electric trucks on the market. So they don't have anything super unique to offer there. It's not going to have more range than say a Silverado EV. So it's not like they're going to have a specific advantage over any of the other trucks. But with the Ram Charger, they do have an advantage. Now they have something that's unique that only they have, and I think it's smart for them. Unfortunately, I wish it wasn't the case, but I'd probably make that move if I was, the bean counters over at Ram and say, look, let's lean heavy into this first, and then we'll see how the market goes. We'll see how sales go, and then we'll decide when we're bringing out the Ram Rev. And at what it gives them more time to make some tweaks on it and to see where the market goes. I mean, the fully electric trucks are not selling well right now across the spectrum. All of them, none of them are selling
Right.
well. Not
Right.
Rivian, not the Lightning. GMs are kind of
Cybertruck?
just launching, but I don't think we're seeing great numbers of that. Cybertrucks aren't selling well. They're
Right.
building up in parking lots now. I mean, in the initial demand of everybody that was waiting from so long, well, not everybody, for crying out loud. I mean, how many million? They had like 2 million reservations
2
or something.
million.
And that 2 million ended up being 20,000. I don't know, something like that. But now they're starting to pile up. And now you're starting to see used ones go for, in the 80s, people that paid, 100,000 for them just a couple months ago. So I think Ram's looking at that and saying, all right, let's push the all electric truck down the road a little bit to a little bit more. There's a little more acceptance on that. So, I think it's the right move for them. I don't think we need right now another all electric pickup truck, which is 4 of them, and they're all fighting for a small amount of monthly sales.
I think you worded that great.
Sorry?
Oh, I said I thought Tom worded that great. That was exactly my thoughts, just better spoken.
Watermelon Jelly Bean, who we met yesterday, just mentions that Tesla still hasn't released the 2-wheel drive Cybertruck. That's a good point. So maybe there's a bit of some still untapped demand for that. I don't know. I'm kind of curious what's going to happen in 2025 with the Cybertruck, because we got this huge building. I'm not sure how much it costs to build it, but a lot. So what happens if they run out of orders? I know. I heard they're getting homologation for China. So, but I don't think China's going to buy that many Cybertrucks. I don't. I don't know.
Yeah. I wonder. I'm like you, very curious about what Cybertruck sales are going to look like in 2025 and beyond. He could come out like with the rear-wheel drive, lower cost option. That'll put some people into the Cybertrucks. People that can't, let's say, afford the current, even the lower priced option now. But I honestly see Cybertruck sales drying up.
Right, or maybe sometimes when we see a lot of vehicles out there, in storage or in parking lots, kind of waiting. In the past, they were always often just staged there for deliveries, and the Tesla crew, the people who bet financially against Tesla on the market, would make a big deal, a very really noisy big deal about all these cars in parking lots. And so I'm a little reticent to say that's indicative of demand problems, because we don't really have like insight into what's going on with Tesla's order system or delivery system. So without knowing for sure, it's really just speculation.
All I'll say is in Q3, they had really good sales. It was best-selling electric pickup truck, but still, those were probably all people that had the reservations and decided to go through with them. And now, I don't know. And I think that's the thing too. It's an $80,000 pickup truck right now, and like the Lightning I just mentioned earlier, that you can get for $402 a month with $402 down. It's like there's more affordable options out there, and the Cybertruck is just still a very premium product. Maybe that's its little niche. I don't know. But if you're interested in an electric pickup truck, there's much more affordable options, and frankly, much options that offer better charging, better range, etc., like the Silverado EV.
True. Silverado's pretty great. I was thinking price-wise, not so much, but the Ford F-150 Lightning Flash version, is that like 57,000 around new, I believe?
It's more like in the 60s. I don't know, because I think they raise the price for it, because I think the XLT is now like 62, I believe.
Okay. For some reason, the Flash is the one in my head because it was like seemed
That
like the
might have
best
been with
deal.
incentives, Don.
Okay, right. It could be a while. We haven't done a battery bargains in a while. So, oh, by the way, yeah, if you're out there and you're looking for a new EV, drop us a line with your use case and your budget, and we have a series called Battery Bargains. Not every week now because we need your letters to make a show with. So if you need a truck, please send us or a car. Please send us your list of wants, needs, and budget, and we'll put together some recommendations for you.
So Don, the Flash starts at $67,995.
67,990.
So, with the federal tax credit
60
and other incentives, you could definitely get it into the 50s.
Right. Yeah, I think right. So if you look at dealerships, what they're offering it for, I think that 57 number was the number I saw on a dealership. I guess it's the one in my head.
And that's the thing
MSRP,
that I really. Oh, sorry. Yeah, well, that's the thing that I really dislike about like cars.com, because I was like getting some data from there. But all the dealers list their cars differently. Some of them do all incentives. Some of them do the price plus the admin plus dealer fees and all this stuff. So you can never, it's so hard to get like an accurate number. And then you literally got to click on the listing, go to the dealer's website, and then like scroll down to the fine print. And then they're like, well, this price actually doesn't include the $495 paint protection pad. It's like all this crap. And it's like, okay, this $30,000 car is now $32,000. And it's like so infuriating.
Right. Yeah, these car buying websites, I wish it would standardize like the information, but more.
100%. Yeah.
Really, like yeah. It'd be nice to have I wanted to do a sponsorship deal with them, and then also then give them feedback on how they can improve their sites. Like there's cars.com, there's cargurus.com. Those are both sites that we use here regularly. And but there's each of those sites both kind of fall down here and there, and that's one of the big ones, especially on cars.com. Just the irregularity of the pricing and what it all includes, and what you're looking at. It makes it hard to compare oranges with oranges.
Yep.
John, you got anything else today? Because I got to get rolling. We're already in an hour and a half. And Andrew has some type of surprise or something he was going to tell us, right?
Oh, yes. The $0 Fiat 500e lease deal. If you're familiar with that, if you live in Colorado, that's pretty crazy, because all you got to pay is taxes up front on that lease. And if I was in Colorado, I would lease one of those things in a heartbeat, because it's like I could just write articles on it. And I don't know. So, and it would probably not be in the best interest legally to have someone who lives in Colorado sublease that to me. So that probably won't work. So unfortunately, I am sitting here without my free Fiat 500e. So there you go. One way to Colorado.
That's one way of moving the Fiat 500e. It hasn't been a huge sales success. No. And Stellantis is a little struggling with his brands of electrification. But we should probably leave it at that. We're at an hour and a half or so. So I guess that brings us to the end of our show. Merry Christmas to you all. Happy holidays. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below or get in touch with us on the social media platform of your choice. Don't forget, if you like the show, please give us a thumbs up, click subscribe, tap that bell icon for notifications. Thank you all very much for joining us, and we'll see you again very soon. Ciao.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Thank you.